Hi, Internet. Brandon here.
Sup, nerds? It's James.
We've got X-Men 97 to talk about.
Hell yeah.
Whew, got through that intro. Anyways, so we are almost done with the season.
I do not know how many episodes they're doing. Do you know if it's...
Did they just shoot 6 or
12?
7? We just saw 6 or 7.
I believe we're up to 7 now.
Yes. So either way, I have to tell you, we talked about this before with the first couple episodes and how much better I think it was than any of our expectations.
Of course.
And then by episode 5, I'm like, whoa, I wouldn't have guessed they were taking this route
No.
for any reason.
Not at all.
Now, with the last episode that ended, they kind of show us that maybe things aren't what we thought we saw with certain mutants. There's one that I think is definitely still, I don't think that one was faked by anybody. But man, just the amount of stuff they're pulling, and not even that, like the conversations they're having on this show are way more adult than I thought they would
very
be.
much so.
Magneto at Genosha, that entire character, I was just like, oh my God, he's so great. Like, what is the line of like, we don't make terrorists presidents? He's like, oh, but some are leaders. He's like, so many leaders are terrorists. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
I thought this has been such a good show. And I think also with the X-Men boom kind of maybe happening again with live action stuff, I think this is a great example of how you can do an X-Men movie and not have it revolve around Wolverine, or an X-Men show and not have it revolve around Wolverine.
It's interesting because Wolverine, in a way, barely shows up the entire season thus far.
Yeah.
He's just been there. And honestly, the most important things he's done is drive Jean to the hospital. And then, well, that was Madeline Pryor at that point. Drive Madeline Pryor to the hospital and then make out with Jean once and be like, no, that's bad. No. And it's been nice to focus on a lot of the other mutants, specifically Rogue, who is one of my favorites. She's awesome.
And they've done an awesome job telling her story.
Oh, absolutely.
Well. Like, this has just been a really cool, like, there was something about the original cartoon that just really felt like they were just peeling straight from the comic to the page without a lot of the context or backstory or stuff, just kind of like one line to like summarize why we're saying what we're saying. And this is really diving into just like the character, like each character is getting more kind of fleshed out than we ever got in the original stuff, all while having all of these issues be a part of the story that they're telling.
It really wants to focus on the morality behind the entirety of the X-Men universe and this human versus mutant conflict and all of that. And it's incredibly cool to see that they're willing to take characters that were once one note in many scenarios, Magneto, and now turn him into this incredibly complex character, which is what he should be all the time. I love Magneto redemption.
Well, I mean,
arcs.
he's definitely become that in the last like decade or so of comic books.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, like we were saying, like going off of the original series, having him just be this one note bad guy is I love Magneto as a character who's been redeemed. Like, yeah, he was this guy who was out to destroy humans, but you really learn how often humans have just been hurting him and his people, whether it was him, being Jewish or being a mutant or all these other things. And like, you really get to see that, which is outstanding.
Very much so. Watching him grow is always my favorite. And I love that Sinister is coming back. He is my favorite X-Men villain.
I want to say I do like Sinister coming back, but this is still 90s Sinister. And I really love flamboyant Krakoan Sinister. So I want to see more of that at some point in time. But
seeing where things are going, it does look like we may get that Sinister as the tensions between humans and mutants are rising exponentially. You have one piece of poo-poo being a piece of poo-poo and forcibly making it worse. And Sinister is just a pawn in this game, so he may very well join the X-Men soon.
I mean, it's been a much bigger success than I ever thought it would have been. Like, at least where my expectations were. And I really thought for a minute there this was just going to be like member berries for like, oh, remember this is a show? Look, we just updated the animation. And like, instead they're telling really good stories.
And they're bringing in new characters, and you're seeing like there's fan service in the good way. And if you don't mind, we will put a spoiler warning here. We're gonna go into spoiler territory now.
I think we kind of did, but
yeah,
like,
a little bit, but it wasn't enough to be revealing to a detrimental sense.
Yeah.
Gambit's dead,
he
and I'm
is.
sad.
I'm okay with it. He's not like my favorite X-Man.
I hate you.
He was a good one.
He's
but I mean,
he's
there's
the
like,
best.
the best is a stretch. It's Gambit. Like, come on.
How could you do this to me?
My,
I'm sad, but I'm so happy they actually wrote the fight well, because I was like,
oh no, that was sick.
He just
That
has
was
to
super
touch it.
sick. That
He
was
just has to touch it and it explodes. And then they did that, and I'm like,
Oh no,
thank you for knowing his power set that way.
They did a great job with the character on there.
Oh my god, it was gut wrenching.
I mean, honestly, what I think they're going to end up doing is like the Horseman of Death, because he was that for a very, 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 very brief, like 4 issues.
I
But,
could see that
I think Apocalypse is going to play back into this later.
potentially, or we could see, because we saw Cable go bad. He was in the past trying to stop it in the first place. We could very well see another time travel shenanigans thing again.
And the X-Men are pretty notorious for time travel shenanigans.
They do it a lot. At this point, it's like a pastime for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fuck with the timeline.
It's just mess with things. So it's exciting. Things have happened. Magneto may or may not be dead. We don't know. Maybe.
We don't know, but we do know now.
Exactly. I don't know why I phrased it like that.
We don't know why we didn't not phrase it.
Exactly. I do not think, therefore I do not am. Go watch X-Men 97. It's good.